up, ladies, gents? My name's Dominic D'Angelo. It's Friday. It's TGIF. It's Rumor and Innuendo. And I am here with Robert Karpelis, WD Creative _ish. Robert, happy Friday, man. We missed a busy, newsworthy day yesterday.
We certainly did. Appreciate everybody's understanding that we were off today. It happens from time to time, but yes, there is a ton of stuff to talk about. We don't even have time to talk about Dom's new beard. Let's get right to the news. Dom, you sent me a stacked rundown. Where do we? I'm sorry. Before we even get to that, shout out to Willie Thornbrew. This one's for the car. That's a grossy reference from Saved by the Bell, when they were working at the beach resort over the summer. Anyway, now we don't have time for any other diversions. Let's get to.
Robert. We didn't want to do the rumor and innuendo on Wednesday here when regarding the TV deal. Well, now we have a TV deal.
Meltzer did it for us.
Yes.
Meltzer. He's not quite Sean Ross Sapp in terms of Dom's love and affection, but Dave Meltzer gave us what would even for a week where there was a vice presidential debate, we would call fuzzy man.
Mm-hmm.
But he's claiming that AEW Dynamite has a new TV deal, and he's averaging the numbers for each year to say, well, that's about $180 million a year, based on very little.
Yeah, there's nothing. No number has really been confirmed yet, has there? When it comes to the actual price of what the deal is.
So not only is there's no actual number, and there's no real understanding of what that number, the theoretical numbers out there floating around, truly includes. Because what we know for a fact, AEW has what looks like a 4-year deal to continue to air on Warner Discovery. It'll be on. You'll still get Dynamite on TBS. You'll still get Collision on TNT. No word yet as to what's going on with Rampage. The pay-per-views will at an additional cost. You'll get it at a discounted rate, but you can purchase the AEW pay-per-views through Max. The other big piece of this is that Dynamite and Collision will stream on Max going forward once this deal takes shape. So right off the bat, it's in theory, big vote of confidence for the future of All Elite Wrestling.
Right. It is. And it just speaks to what good is there. This benefits everybody in pro wrestling, like across the board. We can be critical of AEW's programming, and we are, and there's a lot of
we will be.
Yes, there are a lot of missteps going on and stuff like that. But the good thing is wrestling's on television, and there's two big companies. So I always think that's a positive thing, and it helps both companies out in the ultimate way, and it helps the wrestlers too. So that's what I enjoy about it. Yeah, it'll be a good alternative. I'm sick of buying the Bleacher Report stuff and whatever other platform they've been going on to. It's been it's nice to actually have it on a streaming service coming up. So, but we gotta wait till next year, apparently, January 2025.
That'll be next year. I think the things that we don't truly know are what are the benchmarks and measurements that AEW needs to hit in order for this to continue over the course of 4 years. Yes, it's great. There's a 4-year contract, but what were those metrics based on? And if the numbers start to truly dwindle, is Warner Discovery going to be willing to continue to pay between $150 and $190 million a year for that content over the course of the next 4 years? A lot of this is predicated on it's a lesser number year one, and then it increases over the course of those 4 years. But yesterday, when I was recording Working Stiff with Scott Chapman and Mike Lawrence, we were looking at the AEW ratings that had come out, and where you look at where they were in 2022 to 2023 to 2024, and they went from averaging little over 1 million viewers to this past week, they were at 680,000 viewers. It's diminished returns for Warner Discovery. The hope is, hey, they already understand that. That's baked into this, and they're comfortable with the fact that as long as we're pulling in 650 to 700,000 viewers, we're going to be more than happy to stroke a check for it. At the same time, we don't know what those other metrics truly look like.
Right, right. And we talked about, and we're going to talk here a little bit about Dynamite too, about how big of the card they stacked this thing for the fifth anniversary, and kind of more of a celebration vibe than anything else, maybe that they wanted to indicate. But you know, uh, the ratings are telling. You want, and this is not going to just be a quick kind of fix. It's something that Tony Khan's got to long term plan, and as he's indicated from weeks in and weeks out, it's not really his best forte, so to speak, is long term planning when it comes to booking and building things and making things make all this kind of sense. So. You hope the best foot will be put forward, and maybe there's some sort of realization with that. But we'll wait and see, Robert.
So before I dig in a little bit onto Dynamite, I know you were there live,
Right.
and I'm very curious what your in-person experience was attending the Dynamite taping.
Yeah. So they need to play these arenas. Whatever this Peterson Event Center is where Pitt basketball plays. They've been doing that since the beginning with since their stay in Pittsburgh when they would come here. And according to Wikipedia, the Peterson Event Center sits about 2,500, 1,200, 500 people, 12,500 people.
Wait, hold on.
Now,
You just threw a bunch of weird numbers at me, and none of them, some of them weren't even real numbers. They were just
yes,
letters merged together.
12,500 it seats.
12,000 seat arena. When you reconfigure that for a wrestling show, that's going to shrink you down to probably around 9,500.
Exactly. And it was perfect, Robert, how they had it. The crowd was into it. They were very much an energetic crowd, and really, really into the big matches, chanted along, got into a lot of everything. Even sometimes even the down matches when they had the women's match and stuff like that, the Britt Baker and stuff that kind of fell a little flat, I think. But they were still into it. The crowd was good. They need to play more arenas like this and less to that, because I thought it added to the element and the feel and the vibe that you wanted to get across from Dynamite moving forward. We'll say during the tapings of ROH, we had two injuries. One match right after another. Started off with an enhancement talent. She was facing Lady Frost. Lady Frost did an impressive flipping move, but her knees hit her. Reportedly, she got a concussion and she's okay. The enhancement talent, but she was carried off on a board. And then Sammy Guevara, he hits a cutter onto Serpentico. Almost said Serpico, man. And he got stretchered off. He was knocked out, apparently, too, I think. I might be miscorrected on that. But two glaring injuries in the matches, and you're just like, what can AEW? Is this just coincidental, or is this more telling of how they handle their matches and stuff like that? And maybe like where they can find the balance of quit doing all this crazy stuff, and it kind of speaks to maybe the method that WWE is doing too. It's just, but overall, great experience. Thought the crowd was good, and they need to play more arenas like this and less to the bigger ones.
Okay, so you said a lot of sentences, and I was
I
going to
did.
jump on a couple of them, and I'm like, they
Go
just
for
kept
it. Go
moving there.
for it.
It's fine. Like Tony Khan booking, it was just everywhere. I think the injuries, look, it's not ballet. These things are going to happen. Part of it is them not getting the sort of reps that you would normally have if you were running a number of house shows and you're more familiar with it. Obviously, in an enhancement talent situation, it's sometimes the first time these two talents are working together. Those things are going to happen. Serpentico, obviously an experienced performer, as is Sammy Guevara. There are going to be risks. From what I understand from Sammy Guevara's situation, he was up and walking around backstage afterwards, which is good news. The overall presentation, yes, having it in a more intimate setting, 10,000 and less. Crazy to think that's an intimate setting, but it is. It keeps the energy and the electricity alive when people are packed in that situation. When you're spread out, it's a lot less fun. It's a lot less interesting. Go to any Panthers game in the last 15 years, but the smart thing of AEW is to start to focus on some of those more intimate venues where even if you had, let's say, 5,000 people in the building, you can shoot that in a way where no one's going to know otherwise. There are some cities where WWE plays that are not massive buildings, but they know how to reframe and reshoot everything so you can't tell. And there's nothing wrong with a sellout turning them away at the building kind of event. It's not like they have this massive merchandising juggernaut where you got to pack them in and you're going to get a per cap head count of $22 to $26 a person. Did you buy any AEW merchandise while you were there?
No, no. And the thing is, when you go to AEW shows, there's not a whole lot of merch there, to be honest. It's like they bring a select few amount and that's it. So I mean, but I mean, the fans that were there, I did see people wearing AEW shirts. I did see people wearing, certain stars of theirs and everything like that. So, I mean, I will say, in the past, seems like there was more people attending these shows, but like I said, the crowd was pretty darn packed for what it was, and it looked good.
And
So
I'm sure that the crowd there at Dynamite was really excited to see what was an insanely stacked card.
it was, yeah. It led off with Will Ospreay going up against Ricochet, and that was the crowd was super into that with obvious reasons. And we had a schmoz finish. Takeshita came out and spoiled everything. So, yeah, Robert, watching it on television, everything like that. How was the presentation for you and everything?
I thought Osprey and Takeshita feels like a good next step to go with this. It was great seeing Ricochet and Will Osprey in the ring together. I know I had a thought, and then I was listening to Conrad talk with Jim Ross, and he had the same thought, which is it would have been nice if there was a little bit of a video package reminding us of the history of Osprey
Mhm.
and Ricochet. They could easily have gotten some licensing to be able to show some of that footage because there were some callback spots in this match. I was thrilled to see those guys get that opportunity. It still felt like too big of a match to be giving away on free television.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
felt like, okay, now we're getting to either Osprey Takeshita or a triple threat match, which still feels lesser than Will Osprey versus Ricochet, which is
yeah,
what we're given here, and it was given ample time. I could have lived without the double pin. I think that's always goofy,
yeah.
but it is what it is. That um, I like that Takeshita is reminding people that he is a heel and he is that they can build upon going forward. So anytime that you're using a match to advance somebody, advance a story, I'm gonna be all in favor of.
Yeah, yeah, and I think putting him in the mix makes a lot of sense. Yeah, they didn't give you the whole hog when it came to Osprey and Ricochet, so I'm a okay with that too. Kind of builds up a little bit more. Have to make note too. We did see MVP on the show a couple of times, and he had a friend. It was Shelton Benjamin made his debut in a backstage segment. Uh, I liked it. It gets you kind of more intrigued for what's to come, what MVP has planned with the Hurt Syndicate as indicated. Reported by Fightful, Bobby Lashley, Shelton, and MVP have been signed for weeks. So we will, I'm sure, see Bobby Lashley here at some point or another here coming up. But did you like how they presented Shelton in this light? And what are your thoughts initially on how they've shown MVP and all that stuff going too?
Love all of it. I love the MVP presentation. I love the mystery and what he's trying to build. I hope, because this is another heel stable that they're building, that they're not going to cut its water off pretty quickly.
Hmm.
But I like this idea that he's recruiting Mercedes Monet to bring her into the fold. He's clearly trying to recruit Swerve, bringing in Shelton Benjamin. I think the world of Shelton Benjamin. I can't say enough positive things about him. And even his interaction with Prince Nana felt menacing in the right way. So
Yes.
when you do bring in Lashley, we hope that it's going to be truly memorable, truly great. But then the other side of you kind of realizes, okay, when Lashley does debut, if he's going after the world title, it's going to be Bobby Lashley and Brian Danielson,
Yeah.
or Bobby Lashley and John Moxley, or Bobby Lashley and Christian. And I'm
we
pretty sure we've seen iterations of all three of those before.
Yeah, we have. We have. Um, I'm not necessarily too against that because I like all those guys. But yeah, it should. How is this all going to lay out? The factions, you know, we're having like what is it going to be like three top heel factions now? We got the Elite, we got this John Moxley thing, and now we'll have the Hurt Syndicate
We've
coming up
got
here
those
too.
three. We've got the patriarchy
Correct?
who's
Yeah.
floating right
Mhm.
out there. It looks like Don Callis's family is now rebooting, so they're
Mhm.
still around. You have the Learning Tree,
Great point.
have
Yeah.
the Undisputed Kingdom.
Hmm.
I guess the Bang Bang Gang are baby faces now, based on what we saw in here, but that's still a thing that does exist. And obviously the Iron Savages, the
Yes,
main
of
event
course.
stable anywhere in the world.
Absolutely. I don't know what they do with they show the nipples and they shake them. That's kind of their thing right now.
I would not want to have been sitting next to you when that happened. That's all I know.
Uh my goodness. You think I get hot and bothered by your voice, your COVID voice, Robert? You should have seen me at the
See,
Iron
you
Savage.
made it even creepier. Speaking of creepy, you got to see the Learning Tree segment with Jericho,
Hmm.
and this it felt like he had been watching. He's like a vampire. He watches the show, he sees who's entertaining, and then he tries to drain the life out of them. And he kept seeing those Mark Briscoe promos that we were putting over, and he's like, I can get that. And as soon as Mark Briscoe came out, the very first thought I had was, I really hope they don't reference his brother.
Hmm.
And there it was. It's such a weird cheap heat thing that you didn't need, and it continues to reek of this odd desperation with Jericho. 34 years into his career this week. Congratulations on that. Made his debut against Lance Storm 34 years ago this past Tuesday. Happy 34th anniversary, Lance, who was Lance T Storm. And yes, the T stands for Thunder.
Wow. How about that?
How about it,
How
people?
about it?
Main event anywhere in the world, Britt Baker, Serena Deeb. Um, I know that usually in Pittsburgh, there's the arena that's named after a paint company, right?
PPG. Yeah,
Yes,
where the Penguins play.
would
Mhm.
have loved to have watched some PPG paint dry instead of watching this match. That Meltzer gave 3 3/4 stars. He
Did he
ranked
really?
this higher than the Roxanne Perez Julia match. So
Really?
the next time you're wondering what did Meltzer think of this, you don't have to worry anymore. He's clearly like he's off the reservation, or Brit's his source backstage. And we're a little quid pro quo situation going on here. But and then good news, Queen Aminata came out to thunderous silence to make the save. Uh,
Look, it just speaks to how badly they've been booking the women's division on that show, minus Tony Storm. And it's, I like Queen Aminata. I know who she is, but do a lot of wrestling fans do? No. And it's just you don't, if you don't build her up, you're not going to you're going to get a tepid reaction like that. Yeah, it's something they
and I'm sure
really got to
someone's going to, well, Excalibur pointed out, well, Serena Deeb and Aminata have been feuding on Collision. Well, if a tree falls in the woods and no one is watching Collision, do they get a pop on Dynamite? And
do. They get a pop on that?
the answer is no.
Yeah.
Main event of this show,
Hmm.
Bryan Danielson, Kazuchika Okada.
Right.
They gave this match 9.5 hours. It was a 30-minute overrun. My DVR was already set to tape a 30-minute overrun, so they clearly got ahead of this and readjusted things, which was smart on their part. This should have been a main event of a major pay-per-view. This should have been a Wembley style main event. This should have been a whatever their new other equivalent of WrestleMania is going to be. Put it at Double or Nothing, big packed arena, big story. Two of the best wrestlers in the world, probably the best wrestler of WWE in the last 20 years against the best New Japan wrestler of the past 20 years. They're tied at one apiece. It's title for title,
Yeah.
and it just gets thrown out there on a Dynamite, and it does less than 700,000 views.
Yeah.
This is where the frustration really mounts for me when it comes to AEW. It is not that they do not have the talent. It is not that they do not put on an incredible in-ring product. But Ricochet, Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson, Kazuchika Okada are a double main event for one of whatever AEW's big four pay-per-views would be.
Right.
It is
You
not
totally.
something you give to Pittsburgh.
How dare you?
Where's the
If you had a
lie?
pay per view there, then I would say yes, Robert. But we didn't. But I agree with you. I enjoyed being in attendance for that, but I did have to leave early, unfortunately, so I didn't get to see the whole thing. But yeah, it was a very, yeah, I'm with you on make that feel like a bigger deal than just having it on a Dynamite. You already can celebrate by having Will Ospreay and Ricochet open it up for you.
I get the urge to be like, look, we're getting this big TV deal. We really want to flex our muscle. We want to show Warner what we're made of, what we're capable of. And then it doesn't pop a huge number. I
Mhm.
blame a lot of that on the lack of time between the announcement of this match and people's awareness of it. if you were
Yeah.
hyping this for a week straight and this was a major focal point and there were interviews and it made a lick of sense, people would have been all over this. They would have been really excited. I don't know what the point of this truly is, because it's not as though the Dynamite library is up and available on Max,
No.
where people can go and be like, I'm going to go comb through the archives and look at all these hidden gems. It happens and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And friend of the show, former guest Dan Saint Germain, who former working stiff on hiatus co-host,
Oh, hey, this guy.
said they're basically PWG right now. It's let's just throw great matches out there. And the analogy that I would give is we have Bad Blood on Saturday,
Mhm.
and they could hype Bad Blood by today, announcing, oh, on SmackDown it's going to be Roman Reigns Cody 3
Yeah. Yeah.
for the title,
For the title, but why not? Just have it.
and announce it just 8 hours before. It's wild and wacky stuff when there are some weeks where, like, the Dynamite main event is a triple threat match featuring or a six-man tag with Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah.
And then the next week it's like, oh, it's a world title match that winds up ending with Wheeler Yuta holding a hammer.
It's true. Yeah, they can they got to do a little bit more thought long-term process here, Robert. It's good show, a lot of fun. Obviously great matches, but
You
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 know,
got your money's worth.
I
You
got my
guys,
money worth.
the folks in the arena who were there live, definitely were the big winners because they got some tremendous matches. People who watched it on TV got to watch a lot of amazing stuff for free. It's very tough to take off the business brain and look at this and go, the longevity of this company. Yes, you have this TV deal signed, but they're going to expect results.
Mhm.
And it looks like we're getting a diminished return. Like, the ratings are kind of like Private Party. They hit a peak 5 years ago and then never really got back to where it should have been.
Well,
We
hopefully AEW's trajectory will be a little bit better than what they've done with Private Party.
let's hope, but we do have Bad Blood
Yep,
this Saturday at 6 p.m., which is a weird start time.
it is.
I will not be watching it live, but I will be. My wife and I are going out for,
Ooh,
Saturday night. She got me tickets. We're going to go see. I've never done it before. Rocky Horror.
you haven't? Is it a shadow casting? I take it.
It's Barry Bostwick is going to be there while they show the
Oh,
film, and they're doing all the nonsense. And I
yeah.
will sit politely and try to raise my hand and ask him questions about Spin City.
Don't tell them you've never been there before, Robert. Do not.
It's in a massive venue, so I don't think they're gonna care.
Well, I don't know how they're going to handle that, but don't tell them you've never been there before.
I'm excited that I will get to see my first Rocky Horror, but that means Sunday morning when I get up, I will get a chance to enjoy Bad Blood in its entirety.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
5 match show, they continue to hit that sweet spot, and we got a couple of minutes left. We can knock out a quick
Let's
predictions.
let's do it, Robert. Reportedly, the show's kicking off with CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in a Hell in a Cell. And big match. Obviously, longest feud going on, probably WWE television right now. And really, I loved it. Now, you had your own critiques when it came to Raw. I actually, and so did the Working Stiff group chat. I was the only one that really liked what they did on Monday, I think.
You were
But
the only yes, 1 out of 5 like
yeah,
that.
yep,
And it's Dom who likes everything, and that's great. And there's nothing wrong with the power of positivity.
that's
Um,
it.
but yeah, so the challenge with this Hell in a Cell match is this is the definitive finish. Like, you don't go anywhere above that. I hope they resist syringes and plastic bags and exploding Larry, just like blow
Exploding
the dog
Larry.
up and whatever. But it's where you go from here that becomes the more interesting question. Because if
Mhm.
you beat Punk after all of this, where does he go from there? If you beat Drew, where does he go? It's like, if Drew beats CM Punk, I feel like Drew McIntyre becomes the number one contender. But then he's the number one contender for Gunther's title. You're not going to do a heel versus heel match going into Survivor Series. Gunther CM Punk obviously is a huge money match. And in order to
Right.
get to that, you have to beat Drew. So there has to be something that occurs in this match that allows Punk the ability to win, but gives Drew something to come back with in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks time to rebuild his credibility.
Yeah. I'm very excited for this match, and we were speaking about. I know, well, you and Mike and Scott were speaking about it on Working Stiff about, hey, you're not expecting something crazy to happen in here where it's like an athletic fest between these two guys, but what you want to see some good story developing stuff like that. Blood will obviously be shed. You have to think, and I would like to keep this stuff simple. If you have bells and whistles with it, make it a steel chair and a kendo stick or something like that. Don't go nuts with it, or a chain or something to that effect. Keep it kind of simple but hellish in there. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they lay out with it all. I'll ultimately predict, yeah, CM Punk will win, and it'll put these guys on a cool path because I'm with you. Gunther and CM Punk, that's a big time money match right now, and you can always build Drew and make him have a great feud with somebody else, like a rising baby face or something like that. Jey Uso, somebody just off the top of my head, something like that.
Sure.
So, we also have Damian Priest take on Finn Balor. I don't know if there's a stipulation to this match, if it's a street fight or something, but
It's going to be a wild line at the bathroom
okay.
during this match. Um, it's a shame because I love Finn. Friends with him for years, think he's really, really talented. I like what they've been doing with Damian Priest. This just feels like the momentum has kind of been, the air has been let out of the tires with
Mhm.
this feud a little bit, and it's clear that Priest needs to be the one to win this in order to win the feud, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term, for more, happy, happy, joy, joy. And I think that you kind of split the difference. You've got this match here, and then you've got Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. I can see a situation where Priest gets the win over Finn Balor, and then Rhea Ripley falls short with Liv despite the shark cage because of some other chicanery. That's right. Using the bad words here on Friday. Chicanery.
Oh my goodness. So you're predicting Priest wins. You're going, and your other predictions Liv wins.
Yeah, the women's division on Raw is a little murky at best, but I think that you can find someone to challenge Liv in Io Sky can slide back into that spot and be somewhat interesting for a short term. But yeah, I would keep the title on Liv for a little while longer.
Okay, I'll go opposite. I'll agree with you on Priest, but I'll say Rio wins in the cage match or shark cage fight. And Dom is still Liz boy. Okay, Nia Jax, Bailey. What do you think of that one?
I've been thinking about this one a little bit. I kind of feel like this is where Tiffany Stratton's going to pull the briefcase.
Ooh,
I
really?
think they
Okay.
want something else that's going to feel like, memorable coming out of Bad Blood. Because if Nia Jax beats Bailey, which I would assume that she's going to beat Bailey,
Mm-hmm.
who's her next challenger? You've got Bianca and Jade tied up going for the tag titles. I don't know that Naomi is really in a position right now to leapfrog and challenge Nia, and that feel like a big PLE match. I know you've got the Mishin Chelsea Green dumpster match, but we just saw Nia Jackson Mishin a couple weeks ago.
Right.
I think Tiffany winning freshens things up a little bit there. It gets the title off of Nia without having to outright beat her. And then you can run some of the challengers through Tiffany until such time as Charlotte Flair is back. And then you've got a big return, big exciting something probably come end of the year.
Yeah. I'll say Nia Jax wins, and Bailey, they just need to repackage. I think still has a baby face, but give her something a little different because we were talking about how kind of flat the Damian Priest Finn Balor one is. This is even a little more flat, I think, than what.
That's what made me think that it's the briefcase. I'm like, why on earth would you put this match on the pay-per-view on the PLE instead of a lot of the other interesting feuds? I would have put the Mishin dumpster match on there. I
Oh
think they
yeah,
built that beautifully. There's a triple threat tag match on SmackDown tonight. They could have thrown on there. You could have held off and done Braun Breaker and Jey Uso on this PLE if you really needed to, or some combination of LA Knight and Carmelo Hayes and Andrade.
it's not.
And my prediction for SmackDown, with AJ Styles returning, I think they're looking at an AJ Styles Andrade match and they're going, we gotta get to that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think that's a good. Yeah, definitely that would be a great move. Great move. I'd love to see that. So,
But we got 1 minute
always
left
good.
and one match left. So
Let's get to it. Yes, Cody Rhodes tagging up with Roman Reigns against Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Reported, not reported, rumored. There's a big guy showing up tonight, so they might have a lot planned considering this is main evented. Robert,
there's a big guy.
Yep.
Is it Ryback?
Could you imagine?
God.
My
No,
goodness.
I know it's not Ryback. Relax, guys. I guess there's the rumor that it's Hikuleo, maybe the debut. I don't know. I think Cody is promising there's going to be stories coming off of this. So my wild prediction, because it's a Friday and who the hell cares, whatever. Let's see if maybe it happens. Maybe this is where Owens turns on Cody. And he winds up taking him out, and then it's Roman left to his own devices in a 1-on-2, 1-on-3, 1-on-5 situation, and that's how they were able to beat him. I don't see a situation where the Bloodline loses this match unless it's a quick pin and then a massive beatdown after.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they're going to hold off for Kevin Owens to turn on Cody, maybe at Survivor Series, I would think. But I'm with you. I think not Roman Reigns, Bloodline has to win this match for the feud. We'll see what happens, though. I'm excited for the show, Robert. Should be a good time, but I'm probably going to be with you. Not with you and your wife, but I'll be with you and not watching the pay-per-view at the same time.
Well, I'll be watching it on Sunday. We will be back here covering it on Monday because we will be here every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern on a plethora of platforms for Rumor and Innuendo, including the WWE Creative _ish X account, the SE Scoops X account, and on ad-free shows, Working Stiff and Rumor and Innuendo's YouTube channels. So until that fact, on behalf of the only Bruno that matters, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpolis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Don't whiz on the electric fence.